So Asia session number 2. Let's get straight into it then. We have been trading inside a big range, right? From the creation of a new all-time high, going back down to this 59K. So this was our trading range, and then in the middle we had this low, around 60,800. So the context was that we had just grabbed liquidity there, had a massive reaction. So we were going into Asia, into this situation, right? A new liquidity grab, very probable and slow grind to higher levels. Um, Eventually, we stopped at the top of this vector candle. We stopped right here, and this was by the time of London. Going into Asia, our only context was that we could range for a bit, but eventually we would come and retest this region, or at least we were aware that coming back for this high, recovering the rest of the vector is a possibility, right? So in this case, I remember that I personally only took one trade, which is the one shown there. Other guys did other trades that, to be honest, I should have confidence taking them too. But I had doubts that I'm gonna explain really soon. So Sydney basically started with a change of character, with no pullback. We did have, however, signs that a reversal might be opening, or give us an opening. But basically you would either have to take this trade or one of these gaps without a confirmation, meaning the change in market structure confirmation, or you would have to consider going above this high as your confirmation, because in between this point and this point, we also did have a regular bullish divergence. So this point here could have given you the signal that, okay, we are restarting the uptrend, because up until then, on a more macro view, we are in an uptrend, right? This low didn't break that one, and we were still above the anchored view up from that low, the New York low of 2 days ago, right? So during this session, the idea would be to have some kind of continuation. Now, as we were coming up here, we were struggling about around the weekly level, and again the same type of confirmation that we had previously during Sydney happened here as well. I would like just to take note that even in this section, as you don't get a pullback, and this is obviously much more dangerous types of trades, even because the risk to reward is already small, because having a weekly level here, this could be your take profit, so it's not as good as a trade, obviously, to take it here. But it is relevant to notice the order blocks that actually gave entries, and the small 1-minute FVG here. Even even if it's just for a practice or exercise point of view, it's good for you guys to mark these out and see why and how price reacts to things. This is according to the trend. In this case, you have internal liquidity to grab. It does grab that, and comes back basically for a retest of this area, but then creates another gap, and this order block right here, which is also a vector, is the one that causes a reaction here. So, this is not a great trade, but it is a possible trade, and in any case, this is one of the ideas that could have been made in this situation, which is already, even just using the weekly level as a target, is already a 3R, right? So it's not that bad. It's just not as good a risk to reward as other things that I'm going to show you here. So essentially, as we were doing this, the only time that we actually did change market structure was here, because all of this could have just meant that that high over there is weak, because we SFP'd it and created fair value gaps hint after that. So that's why I wasn't too comfortable about taking a short from here. But we did. I cannot show you now because I don't have the replay capability on exocharts. But on exocharts, we could see stacked imbalances uh, right above this high, meaning that it was um, front run by this time. And so when the first time that we actually did close below these previous lows was with this candle, and we eventually did get up there, uh, retest took the liquidity grab of all these highs, and used the stacked imbalance as a reaction point. Uh, it w it it did came back. Remember, one or two of our members got closed out break even. They weren't expecting price to come here. But after that, the the downtrend was pretty nice. It never made new highs. Was never able to. And eventually it came back to the liquidity points that we had there, right? When it did that, and this is the trade that I took, again, in a very localized price action, we had our preferred entry model, like, once again, regular bullish with a final damage W, um, creating the divergence right here, and you have this order block. So an entry could have been made from this breaker block, and when I say breaker block, I'm talking about the order block that is also the pivot point in between the divergences, which is also inside a fair value gap, the line there. So this is your breaker block. As a good friend of mine always reminds me, it's kind of pointless to mark out the whole candle. You can just use this logic as the entry line, right? This is the breaker. But in my case, I used that 1 minute vector candle. So basically, I got triggered right there, and again, I used the weekly level as a target. It went a lot higher than that, and this is what I meant by going to the 15-minute order block that was on top of the vector candle. So targeting that would have been a 15R trade. I was happy, of course, with this already. That's almost a 7R. And basically, again, during the London Open, we did the same model once again, with the difference that in this case, that was still a wick, not a candle close, but eventually price did end up going down after that. I think it did make a new high. So this was already signs of weakness, but London eventually did have struggled and started going down. So this, once again, was one of those Asia sessions that was full of good signals. A lot of possible entries based on order blocks and our main reversal model. And I think that you can get these kinds of signals in all kinds of sessions, but it is mostly important to remember the timings. This is essentially a kill zone time for the Asia session, and as such is totally and perfectly normal. to have situations like this when you have where you have liquidity grabs followed into a change in market structure. Um, and the same way that happens here, because 5 a.m. in UTC is one of the typical times for a reversal during Asia sessions, such as the Asian kill zone is a typical time for a reversal. Now, it might not mean that you're going to the moon, and it might not mean that you're going to zero, right? Um, but targeting internal liquidity, um, your risk reward is already going to be great if you're using 1 minute order blocks and fair value gaps and small factors like that. Your risk reward is always going to be amazing. Um, and even the trade that I took, the order blocks that were created, I'm gonna zoom in as much as I can here. Let me just hide this indicator. Uh, Even in this case, the order blocks that do create fair value gaps, for example, this is a much rangier, choppy action, but even the structure points here are respected. Uh, Using this pivot, this could be one of your entries. It just sucks because your stop loss has to be a lot lower, right? But after that, you have this order block created with a gap that could be one of your entries. Um, then you have this fair value gap in between. You have this order block once again. That's also one of your entries, very sniper-ish entry. After that, you have another order block created with a gap, another super sniper entry. Um, this is not as good in the sense that it was already mitigated, but it does come back to test it once again. Um, and well, that in that case is already super close to my TP. It wouldn't be something that I, based on what I was targeting, would trade from. Uh, but again, it's another possible 7R, right, or more. And so, yeah, that kind of sums it up in this case. Another successful Asia session. Remind you guys that we're doing Discord trading sessions every night. Well, I say night because the Asia session is during the night for me. Um, but yeah, we're basically live trading every day. So join the Discord. We're doing it for free for now, but I will be launching a premium membership on June. So these last days are the last time, the last opportunity that you can, uh, just come over and see how it is, how we're analyzing price, how we're taking trades. We're doing this as a group. Um, so I'm trying my best to make it a win-win situation for everyone. And yeah, I guess that's it. I'll see you there. Cheers.